Back in, I want to say 2014, I found Desert Tech operating out of a small booth in the corner of the LE Tactical Room at SHOT Show back when I was covering SHOT Show for the firearm blog, like the written blog. And even though it was kind of a modest location, the Desert Tech booth was absolutely slammed up because everyone was taking pictures of the, at the time, brand new and unreleased Desert Tech MDR or micro dynamic rifle. At the time, I said that the MDR was one of the more exciting items of SHOT Show. It was a gas piston operated ambi bullpup rifle with a rotary bolt and an adjustable gas regulator. It's hard to make a truly ambi bullpup because even if you so much as turn the gun over to the support side, you're going to get, as Carl demonstrates here, brass bukkake. But Desert Tech had this part figured out. The MDR was to be a forward eject like the FNFS 2000. Moreover, the MDR's ergos were promising. The MDR has an ambi safety and a push button mag release in addition to a third Tavor style mag release behind the grip. The MDR also has two identical and non-reciprocating charging handles on either side of the upper that collapse and kind of fold out of the way when they're not in use. They also function HK style. You can give them a little slap and it's going to charge forward when they're locked to the rear. There's also another Tavor Q, a bolt release that's towards the rear of the receiver that works very well. The piston-driven operating system in the MDR was planned to have several settings, including special settings for when the rifle was extremely fouled or suppressed. It was going to accept Stanag AR magazines, but incredibly, it was going to be convertible to .308 and accept AR-10 mags as well. It was also going to cost the same or less than a Tavor or an AUG, that is, under $2,000. I was pumped. So at SHOT 2015, what do? I try to go back to the Desert Tech booth to check on the status of the MDR. I was told that the release date was going to be fourth quarter 2015 at the time. So 2016 SHOT Show rolls around. Desert Tech still hadn't sent me my damn review copy of the MDR that I had requested months, 2 years before. So I swung by the booth to check on these boys again. Still nothing, still no hard release date other than possibly at the end of the year. In 2017, I just stopped visiting these Utahns who were just going to tell me sweet little lies and break my heart again, just like they did year after year after year. In 2018, TFBTV finally got our hands on the Desert Tech MDR, but it wasn't me because I was over Desert Tech at the time. It was our boy Miles, and he was either really excited about it or he hit a few key bumps before he got on camera.
Hey TFBTV, today we are here with Desert Tech at SHOT 2018.
Maybe both, I don't know. The MDR was finally coming to market, and I'm just breaking balls here, but Miles did a perfect job with the interview. Desert Tech, on the other hand, not such a perfect job. Some of you may have seen that Ian and Carl over at InRange TV had a hell of a time with their first copy MDR.
Mouth. All right, so I have had a malfunction here, and it's a malfunction where the brass, the empty case, has not quite completely entered the ejection port. And malfunction. So even on gas setting 6 after break-in period, Wolf is a no-go, short stroking like we saw with previous to the break-in period being through.
It was either over-gassed and ripping off case rims, or it wasn't cycling, and in the meantime these guys are tuning this gun like a goddamn Steinway piano. So if it had too much gas, it would rip off the rim of the casing. If it didn't have enough, it would short stroke, and you had to basically field strip the gun. So it was a big nightmare, and in response, Desert Tech did the unthinkable. Did they deny everything? No. Did they have a voluntary upgrade program where everybody was going to have to send in their guns on their own dime to get them fixed? No. Did they threaten to sue Ian and Carl like petulant children? No. What they did is they manned the f*** up, they owned the problems, they fixed them, and they told everyone about it publicly on YouTube. They made the fixes available to their customers with a new gas regulator, and to top it all off, they proved that everything worked by running 10,000 rounds through a new copy of the Desert Tech MDR with the upgrades, achieving a 2,000 round mean round between stoppages. That is, they only had 5 stoppages for every 10,000 rounds. Not bad. Side note, if you want to dig really deep on the MDR, I mean really deep, InRange has a ton of videos on their platform that are way more detailed than the dumb shit that we're going to get into just today. In 2020, the MDR, even though it was only on the market for about 2 years, was getting a little long in the tooth for a company whose motto is tomorrow's weapons. After all, it did debut in January of 2014, which wasn't even yesterday, much less tomorrow. Desert Tech had upgrades ready for the MDR, including a polymer chassis with a higher glass concentration that would make the receiver more durable. They also had a trigger upgrade, an upgraded gas block said to pass mil-spec mud and water immersion tests, and additional water drainage points to make the gun a little bit more amphibious. Come on guys, I thought this was Desert Tech, not Ocean Tech, am I right? Come on. So it was at this point that Desert Tech decided that they were going to make a clearly delineated line between the two evolutions of the MDR. The newest version of the gun, the MDRX, and the prior version, the MDR. MDRX, the X of course, stood for exemplary. Just kidding. The rule of gun is that if an X comes after a pistol, it probably means large frame with a compact slide, and if it comes after a rifle, it 100% of the time means extreme. So it's the Micro Dynamic Rifle Extreme. As a bonus, if you add Extreme to the name, you also get featured in first-person shooter games like Escape from Tarkov and Tom Clancy's Division, which the MDRX is in. Mountain Dew collabo on the way. So Miles put me in touch with Desert Tech a little over a year ago to review the then new MDRX. I got this one in March 2020 and I've been playing with it for a year now to see if it could unbreak my heart. So before I give you my impressions of the MDRX, let's talk about the specs and the features of this gun. Depending on your configuration, the MDRX is going to weigh between 8.2 and 8.9 pounds, with an overall length of 27.5 inches to 31.5 inches, a height of 7.89 inches, and a width of 2.26 inches. The trigger's fantastic, and you can see I drew a pull weight here. It uses a short stroke piston operating system, which I believe to be a superior operating system for reasons I've discussed in prior videos and won't get into just right now. So rather than discuss every variation of the MDRX, I've screenshotted the spec sheets here so you can pause and peruse them as you wish, because the specs change slightly depending on what caliber you're shooting. So now let's address the elephant in the room. It's a bullpup. I'm okay with bullpups. What's wrong with bullpups? Well, bunch of things. First, they usually have shit triggers because of the linkage required to get from the trigger in the front of the gun to the sear in the rear of the gun, and this can lead to poor accuracy on the user side. In conventional rifles, they're all one trigger group, but not with bullpups. Second, bullpups are also like my dad when we were growing up. If you do anything left-handed, you get punched in the face. That is, if you transition to weak side or if you even roll the gun over, you're going to take a hot brass kiss right in the kisser. Bullpups are also slow to manipulate, and mag changes tend to take more time than with conventional rifles. But here's the thing about the MDRX. All these problems have been fixed. We had a great trigger that produced excellent accuracy, squeezing out better than 2 MOA groups. According to Desert Tech and other reviews that I've seen, the MDRX is capable of sub-MOA accuracy. But most rifles will pull down about 1 MOA of accuracy on average. Desert Tech doesn't guarantee accuracy with the MDRX like they do with their SRS precision rifles that have a half MOA guarantee. It's simply too difficult to assure results from a semi-auto with the range of ammo available to it. But D-Tech knows accuracy and they know how to make guns accurate, so they said you shouldn't be surprised if you turn out half MOA with match ammo. We've already talked about the ambi issue with the MDR. You can get forward ejecting or side eject, and either mode is swappable to either side of the receiver. Third, with all the switches and levers all over this gun, mag changes were pretty easy and pretty quick. But make sure you have enough room in your sling to be able to swing the mag well into your workspace.
Sling's too tight.
Well, I like having the sling
tight for stability, it makes mag changes an absolute bitch. So I fumbled my mag back there. I would maybe swim out of the sling, exchange stability for being able to actually make your mag swaps. For the most part, the MDRX has worked around all of the issues typical of bullpups while retaining the advantages of the bullpup. And what are those advantages? The main one, you get full-size rifle accuracy and velocity in submachine gun sizes. The 27.5-inch long MDR with a 16-inch barrel has about the same overall length as the 10.3-inch barrel Mark 18 variant of the AR or M16 platform that's so popular with special forces. The difference is that even though they're the same size, the MDRX will put at about 300 to 500 feet per second more velocity with 5.56 than the Mark 18. This not only gives it greater range, but with a round like 223 that relies upon fragmentation upon impact for effectiveness, a 16-inch gun will reliably fragment within 150 yards, while a 10-inch gun gets dicey after just 50 yards for fragmentation. So you get longer range and more effective performance from the bullpup. It's also much easier to handle, just like a submachine gun, in confined spaces and getting in and out of vehicles and so on. And even though the MDRX weighs anywhere between 8 and 9 pounds depending on the configuration, the weight's concentrated at the very rear of the gun. While it's 20 to 25% heavier than an M4 carbine, it's less noticeable, and you can even fire it one-handed easily. So as I said, all the weight's concentrated back here. You have nothing up here but barrel. That's it. So one-handed shooting, and we're at 50 yards, shooting at a steel silhouette target. I mean, can't miss. One-handed, so that's pretty impressive. I mean, try to do that with like an AR or an AK. Not saying you can't, it's just gonna be harder. Going back to the weight, you also have to give the MDRX a bit of a pass in this regard. While yes, average ARs weigh between 6 and 7 pounds, they also don't shoot .308. An AR-10 and .308 or 6.5 Creedmoor will have more robust internal mechanics to withstand the additional stress of a more powerful round. And an AR-10 will weigh upwards of 7.5 to 8 pounds. For a piston-fired gun that can handle .308 pressures, the 8-pound range is fine, especially with the weight distribution that the MDRX has to the rear. On top of all that, Desert Tech sells conversion kits that range from $300 to $400 each, and if you supply your own contoured barrel blank, the MDRX can be fitted to run just about any caliber that will fit into an AR-10 or AR-15 magazine. Finally, one other kind of weird plus, the MDRX is great for suppression. It's ideal, really. It's got a short-stroke piston-operated system, which tends to handle suppression better than most other operating systems. It also has an adjustable gas block that I talked to you about a little bit earlier, so you can tune your gas settings, turn them down a little bit, tune the MDRX for better suppression performance. Because of its shorter profile, it remains handier than ever, even with a silencer attached, but it'll still run a longer barrel, which will be easier on your suppressor, especially if you have a titanium can that can be damaged by heat erosion that you get from shorter barrels. As mentioned, the MDRX is convertible with factory conversion kits from 223 to 300 Blackout, 308, or 6.5 Creedmoor. Desert Tech sent me every conversion except the 300 Blackout for this video. So we switched from 308 to 5.56. As you guys know, and as I say all the time, I'm a complete and total piece of shit with my hands. It was a little bit of a struggle. I hate this so much. God damn it.
This is the 6.5 Creedmoor 308 magazine. Here's the 5.6 magazine. It goes here. So
dude, how the f did he just fucking do that? Get the fucking camera out of my face. Yep. Fuck! Fuck! I can imagine for the average person, or if you're a TFBTV viewer, the better than average person, that you guys would do just fine with this. A little bit of a struggle for me. We got it together. Not quite sure it's actually going to work. I'm sure I screwed something up. I didn't feel very confident reassembling it, but there's only one way to find out. Isn't that right, boys and girls? Let's check it. Works.
Who'd have thought?
If I had to do it again, it wouldn't be that hard. Converting 223 to 308 and vice versa requires changing the barrels, the bolts, mag catches, and the ejection port covers. While I had some difficulty, that's mainly because I am an idiot. And if I did it again, it would take less than a quarter of the time, probably. Let's talk about the shooting experience with the Desert Tech MDRX. As mentioned, great trigger, the gun's handy, and I don't want to underemphasize how handy it is. You really feel nimble handling the MDRX. The weight distribution's fantastic as well. The trigger's all it's cracked up to be. It's good for any rifle, much less for a Bullpup, which is remarkable. The brake's effective at quelling recoil. Shooting 308 with this gun is a breeze, especially when compared to a 308 gun with the same overall length like the HK51, which is a beast in comparison. 5.56 is accordingly a cakewalk. Between the gun's weight and the ratchet brake on there, there's no muzzle rise with 223. I'd love to use this gun in a carbine class, although that brake would guarantee that you would be placed at the end of the firing line and no one would call you for happy hour after the class. I'm telling you, that brake is concussive as but I was so confident with the mildness of the 5.56 with the brake that I climbed 20 feet up a tree at the range and fired from that position. In retrospect, it was a terrible idea. The shots don't look as cool as I thought they were gonna look, and as soon as I stopped supporting myself with my hands in order to catch the gun, my entire body weight shifted to the only thing between me and the tree, which was my balls. But I do it because I love you guys, and I just want you to be entertained. As I mentioned, 100-yard accuracy with junky ammo was great. We shot around 1.5 inches at 100 yards, although I've seen other reviews online where individuals have managed to ring out better than MOA groups if they're using the right ammo. I mean, it seems like the MDRX has it all, right? Great ergos, swift handling, accuracy, the ability to convert to just about any caliber in and around the 223 and 308 range, well thought out design, solid operating system. I told Desert Tech that the only Bullpup I own is the AUG, which I'm very fond of. The MDRX has a better trigger than the AUG, better accuracy than the AUG, better convertibility, more gas settings, more modularity with better optics and accessory mounting solutions, all for the same price. The AUG does have a couple advantages, including a proven 40-plus year military track record, an easier to swap barrel, and the AUG weighs 1 to 2 pounds less than the MDRX, although it lacks the ability to handle those 308 range pressures. I'd love to maybe see Desert Tech one day think about a cheaper, lighter weight 5.56 and 300 blackout dedicated model, because that would be incredible. So on paper, the MDRX does indeed seem to slay the AUG. So the MDRX is a worthy Bullpup, to be sure. But as I do with all TFBTV videos, I search long and hard for the negatives, save the bitching for the end of the video, and here it is. At first, I was impressed with this railed portion of the gas block that Desert Tech installed on the top rail between the upper and the handguard, because I thought it was a tactical waffle iron. Being attached to the gas block, this one small segment of rail gets hotter than a Bluth cornballer, and if you touch it, which you will, your reaction speed will dictate whether you get a first or second degree burn.
And this thing made me bleed.
I'm not an engineer, and this might have been the only option rather than extending the handguard over the receiver or vice versa. And again, it's a minor gripe. But if it were mine, I'd probably put a rail cover or an optic over this portion of the rail and never think about it again, except every day when I look at my mutilated thumb. There's no QD sling mount at the front of the gun, although there is a sling loop at the front of the handguard, and there's plenty of M-lock to install your own damn sling cup. So again, another minor gripe, but I would have liked to have seen a factory QD sling cup on the handguard. And while the ratchet brake is very effective at quelling recoil, especially in 308, it's like front row to Pearl Jam concert, except the lyrics from the MDRX are easier to understand. The 308 in a 16-inch barrel with a ratchet is straight up abusive.
Dude. Woo, that brake. I feel it. Feel it in my plums. Look at the crater it has made. Look at that. We're going to charge admission to view Desert Tech crater.
Again, this is a minor gripe. You can go with a very effective but rapey brake, or you can simply thread a different muzzle device on. Problem solved. So I guess these are all minor gripes. The only serious complaint I have about this otherwise great platform is that I shared a little of Ian and Carl's frustration with charging. If you don't cycle the action aggressively enough with the forward eject kit installed, the round won't quite get into the ejection clip, meaning that the ejection port cover needs to be removed, or as I had to do, the round needs to be removed with a set of needle nose pliers. Desert Tech suggested mortaring the shit out of the MDRX, and that could coax the gun back into battery, but we tried and we failed. I accidentally recorded Ryan attempting this in slow motion, and it looks like a foreign exchange student's undergrad cinematography final. Fortunately, there is a solution, but it comes at a cost. Not money, because the solution actually saves you a few dollars, and not weight, because the answer to this issue actually removes a few ounces from the portly MDR. The cost is the lack of true ambidexterity that the MDR is so proud of, and the solution is to switch to the MDRX SE, the conventional side eject model, just like the AUG. It's going to eliminate your charging issue, it's going to be more reliable, it's going to be half a pound lighter, it's going to cost $250 less than the forward eject model, but brass bukkake. And the good news is, if you ever change your mind, you can swap it back to a forward eject anyways. I'd imagine, however, that if you use the bolt release to charge the gun instead of the charging handles, this may never become an issue for you, even with the forward eject. So, in conclusion, the MDR had a bumpy start from its introduction in 2014, including a very late start to market and issues with their original gas regulator, but now the MDRX is firing on all cylinders as an accurate and ergonomic bullpup. Desert Tech even has some neat mods on the way, including the 5.56 micron conversion kit, which features an 11.5-inch barrel and brings the overall length to 22 inches total, which is insane. They also have the Manus handguard on the horizon, which is a handguard with a seamlessly integrated bipod. Desert Tech's commitment to advancing the platform is certainly consistent with their Tomorrow's Weapons motto. Finally, the MDRX has a fully transferable lifetime warranty, meaning that if you buy it used, Desert Tech will still support the gun for a lifetime under warranty. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you appreciated this review. Thank you to our sponsors, Ventura Munitions, Blue Alpha, and of course your online shooting sports superstore, Top Gun Supply. If you want to win a new gun from Top Gun Supply, the good news is we give away 4 guns a month. You can either sign up manually every month, or if you're on Patreon or Subscribestar and you're at the $5 or the $10 level, you are automatically to enter one of 4 free guns every single month. Automatically. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Take care.